So the year is 2025, and that's 75 years of the European Convention on Human Rights, which came to be in 1950, but the first draft of it was penned the year before in 1949 by European movement. So that was Winston Churchill, Lord Leighton, David Maxwell Fyfe, and some European colleagues as well. This year is also the 50th anniversary of the huge 1975 vote, led by European Movement UK, to join the European communities. It feels now like it's time to get a few more wins under the belt of this august institution that we have inherited. Coming up next summer is the 10th anniversary of the Brexit vote itself, or as I like to put it, the 23rd of June 2026 is Brexit Judgment Day. On that day, the entire world's media is going to look at that event again. Everybody needs to be reminded of the wild promises, the vast damage done since then, and conclude for posterity that Brexit was a national folly. This will be the moment of national and international reckoning, and whatever is concluded then will stick. And from that basis, it will be much easier to be making the case for what do we do in order to put this national folly firmly in the past and fix it. After that, we have the general election to focus on, with two clear targets: the defence of the ECHR and the commitment in their manifestos of the political parties to get us back into the European structures and the EU outright. And by that stage, we really need to have built up our own power. So what we are engaging in now is a national persuasion campaign. We need to convince the public across all demographics that Brexit was a national folly, that hurt us, that rebuilding with Europe helps fix the cost of living crisis and opens opportunities for our youth, for our artists, for our businesses. We need to convince the public that Europe shares our values and actively and impressively pursues those values. We need to communicate to the public that in a world of Trump, Putin, and China, we need and want to stick with Europe for safety, for defense, for stability. We need to convince the public that Europe is gaining in strength as a model that the world looks to in these uncertain times. And we also need to communicate to the public that leaving the ECHR would pull us out of the Council of Europe, severing myriad security and criminal data sharing agreements. What backfiring Brexit was to our economy, leaving the ECHR would be to our citizens' safety. It is Brexit 2.0 and a clear case of fool me twice, shame on me. So we need it communicated resoundingly and everywhere that Britain can re-find its strong world-leading place by leading from within the team of the EU. And we need these ideas about Europe made relevant to every nation, every region, every demographic, and every community within the UK. We need champions in all of these communities. We need to be working with all of these communities and their hopes for their futures. That's why our mission now is not just the message, but the network of message carriers that we must build. And I know many of you want to see more aggressive messaging with more cut through, because you can see the opportunities opening up now. You can see Labour turning on Brexit in this upcoming budget, and rumours that they'll be focusing on Brexit in the next general election. The Green surge, where the Green Party is overtly pro-EU. Plaid taking on reform in Wales. Plaid also being pro-EU. The Liberal Democrats pushing for the customs union. The national conversation is opening up, and we, as a cross-party community, are at the crux of it. So I want this surge, this push, and this cut through to the national conversation too. And I know we need to be equally ambitious about our own structural build so that we have the heft when we speak. This spring, we need a drive on the local groups and affiliated groups. We need to grow them, really grow them. In particular, the youth. Young European movement has undergone some important structural overhauls and is now ready to bolt onto our main database, and then we can have a huge membership drive there. That is absolutely vital to provide a new generation with the power to represent themselves on this issue. And we need our growing research and content capacity to drive through those local groups and through the national media, a constant flood of it. A lot of what we have done over the last 2.5 years is to build up the structures that will give us power. The membership, the supporting the local groups, the increased research capacity you can now see coming through in our increased social media content, the all-party parliamentary group, the business group, all building our credibility, our reach, and our deeper power. The constitutional overhaul last year, all getting our shipshape for battle. Where we are now is exciting. I have eternal appetite for this because I know the significance of what we're doing here. The UK rejoining the EU is not just about economics of our country, it's about the validation of the European post-war model and the vision for humanity. Standing against tyranny and for empowerment of citizens, for pluralistic collaboration, and in the current context of an authoritarian China and an increasingly authoritarian US under Donald Trump that does not respect world order, Europe must be the bastion of stability, rule of law, and responsible, inclusive vision for humanity. And we have, right here, right now, a huge role in that. We're at a place and time where we can tip a hugely important balance. It's a privilege that we mustn't squander. So let's do this. Thank you.